So welcome again. I was just saying, before I was reminded to record this, that we will be following the traditional format. So there will be some chanting, followed by guided meditation, reflection, and then optional community sharing, discussion. Today's topic is refuge, and there are a couple things I would like to highlight. And our meditation, my guidance will be also geared towards that. So as you are hearing instructions, just take what feels useful and helpful, apply it. And of course, you can always ask questions at the end if something was unclear. And then what's not helpful, just let that go. So I am going to share the screen so you can see the chanting book. Okay. Can everyone see this? Yes? All right. Okay, so we will chant today refugees, and we will also chant precepts in Pali and English. And for those also who don't know me, I am not the best singer, you'll see. So feel free to lower the volume if it's bothering your sensibility. So we are starting with the Namo Tassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. And now the precepts, first in Pali and then in English. Panatipata veramani sikapadam samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikapadam samadhiyami. Kamesu michachara veramani sikapadam samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikapadam samadhiyami. Suram miraya majapamadatana veramani sikapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the training to refrain from intentionally taking life. I undertake the training to refrain from taking that which is not given. I undertake the training to refrain from misuse of sexuality and the senses. I undertake the training to refrain from speech that is false, divisive, harsh, and meaningless. I undertake the training to refrain from intoxication, which leads to carelessness. So before I start offering instruction, just receiving the fruits of our chanting practice. So allowing to the degree that's possible, ease in the body, just inviting it, adjusting the body, the way it's sitting or lying down, if that's the case. So there is a sense of ease. Perhaps it might be helpful to intentionally deepen and lengthen the in-breath and the out-breath. Inviting ease, spaciousness, letting go, softening on the out-breaths. Perhaps there can be a sense of relaxing into one's body, settling, like when you take a snow globe and you shake it. That's our chitta, mind, heart, and the body throughout the day, often actually. And so in meditation, it's like you place it on something that's stable, secure. So all that swirling around can begin to settle, and there is this emerging clarity, clear seeing. So today, with interest and curiosity, we can begin to notice where chitta, heart and mind is taking refuge in, or in what? Is it the breath? Is it grasping and wanting? Is it in thinking? Just simply trying to figure it out? Or perhaps finding solace, refuge in worrying? So we all have habitual patterns that we can notice and then choose something that's more skillful, something that's more reliable. So allowing the body to breathe, breathe with life, with what's occurring. Where does the mind and heart, chitta, where does it go for comfort, protection? Is it awareness of how things are that's chosen? Or is it some form of unskillful relieving of stress or discomfort? So this is all to be noticed and understood. So from our direct experience, we can choose what's truly worthy of our attention, our time. What's a true refuge, reliable, dependable, wholesome. Remembering our attention, how is it engaged, and returning to the awareness of the body sitting and breathing, to the awareness of how things are, this human process unfolding within the body, mind, and heart, right here, now. Remembering your attention and returning. Returning means that the attention and intention merge, and what happens is we call it practice, but we engage what's wholesome. Attention engages what's wholesome. Sati, awareness, or patience, kindness. Notice that moment when Chitta, heart and mind start looking for a refuge. What does it feel like in the body? And this is especially interesting when what's occurring feels uncomfortable, displeasing, when there is sense of, I don't know that I can bear it, I don't want to bear it. What refuge do we choose? Where do we turn for comfort, protection? Remembering and returning. taking refuge in the way things are, as opposed to how we wish them to be. Oh, it's like this. Okay, I can be with this. Remembering and returning here, this moment, this living, breathing body, this sensitive chitta, heart and mind. Refuge in clarity. Oh, that's what's occurring. The stillness of the mind, as opposed to this habitual way. We tend to either figure things out through thinking, planning, or we try to find refuge, solace, comfort in worrying. Other patterns as well. So here, choosing stillness and clarity of a direct experience and the knowing of is the attention engaged. Was it engaged with intention or unconsciously? Once we know, we can choose. We can choose to engage what's skillful. Helpful. Fourthly, I will read 2 poems. They point to, together they point to all pre-refugees, what we refer to refuge in the Buddha. Wakefulness, knowing that's inherent in all of us. To Dharma, the way things are. And Sangha, the external, but also the internal experience of it. So as I read, allow the words to enter you, touch you. Thanissara uses the word mingle. And perhaps there will be something that resonates, image or word that awakens something in you, moves you, rearranges you. So just continue this meditative way so these poems can be contemplated. I am making a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quiet patch of sunlight to stretch out without hurry, where all that has been banished and buried is welcomed, spoken, listened to, release. A fiercely friendly place I can claim as my very own. I am throwing arms open to the whole of myself, especially the fearful, fault-finding, falling apart, unfinished parts, knowing every seed and weed, every drop of rain has made the soil richer. I will light a candle or a hot cup of tea, gather around the warmth of my own blazing fire. I will howl if I want to, knowing this flame can burn through any perceived problem, any prescribed perfectionism, any lying limitation, and every heavy thing. I am making a home inside myself where grace blooms in grand and glorious abundance, a shelter of kindness that grows all the truest things. I whisper hallelujah to the friendly sky. Watch now as I burst into blossom. Lying, thinking last night how to find my soul a home where water is not thirsty and bread loaf is not stone. I came up with one thing, and I don't believe I'm wrong. That nobody, but nobody, can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone, nobody, but nobody can make it out here alone. There are some millionaires with money they can't use. Their wives run around like banshees. Their children sing the blues. They've got expensive doctors to cure their hearts of stone. But nobody, no, nobody can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone, nobody, but nobody can make it out here alone. Now, if you listen closely, I'll tell you what I know. Storm clouds are gathering. The wind is gonna blow. The rays of man is suffering, and I can hear the moan. 'Cause nobody, but nobody can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone, nobody, nobody can make it out here alone. So this is but by Maya Angelou, and it's called Alone. So welcome everyone. Our topic today is refuge. So before I start talking, I'll ask two questions and just contemplate it your own way. If you like to close your eyes, if you like to keep them open, just choose. So the first question is, what is refuge? What is refuge? And see if everything you read and heard about refuge from a Dharma perspective, can you put it aside and let that question perhaps that's something authentic in you, your direct experience of what we call refuge. So what is refuge? Okay, the second question, very interesting. I find it very interesting. What are we seeking refuge from? Have you ever considered that? And this is, and I'll talk about it moment by moment practice, but in general, from your direct experience, what are we? What are you seeking refuge from? What are you seeking refuge from? Can you see how rich this question actually is? You know, as I was sitting with it now, the next question that arose for me was, can I recognize, or how do I recognize the moment I, meaning chitta, I'll be saying I, it's just easier. How do I recognize the moment when I start looking for a refuge? Because it's very interesting, right? Because when I know, oh, I'm looking for a refuge, then perhaps I can make a choice. So from my experience, I recognize it in my body. Usually there is a sense of, let's just first use this general term, stress. It feels like unease, you know, it has particular vibration. Like, let me get out of here. Let me help. So there is a particular feeling in the body that alerts me like, okay, so I can recognize it and note it like, oh, this is uncomfortable. This is painful, right? And then there is also a pattern, and we have all different conditioning. But there will be pattern that will begin to recognize in heart and mind that will alert us. Oh, I'm seeking a refuge. I'm looking for a refuge. We all look for a refuge. We all take refuge in something, right? So when I ask that question, what it is, I am still discovering what it is. So my words are comfort, safety, protection, solace. And the Buddhist terms that I like, the Dharma terms, it's something that's reliable, dependable, wholesome and skillful, and especially that word helpful for me. It's helpful. So it's like the rudder on the boat, right? So there we are hurting. I prefer that term now to suffering because suffering is such a large, but so you are hurting. It's something is displeasing, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, difficult, hard to bear. And we start looking for a refuge, right? And it's really just pointing that rudder. That's how it's pronounced, right? Rudder? Yeah, yeah. So do I point it towards wishful thinking? Oh, I wish it was like this. Or through to this, I call it trying to figure things out. Meanwhile, it's the same pattern that got me into this problem, and I'm using thinking to get out. Then there is worrying, there is planning. And then if it shifts to, oh, how is it right now? Can I be truthful and honest about my experience? I may not like it. The intensity of it may not change. The painfulness of it may not change. But is it not helpful to know actually what's going on? And to seek refuge, I'm going to now use the term in clarity and honesty of how things are. And from there, of course, we will know how to respond, right? More likely it will be efficient and wiser because we have some clarity of what's going on. And if there is a sense, I'm looking for a refuge, what am I looking for really? Am I looking for not hurting? Well, you know, it's really hard to get out of this body. We can take care of it, right? But at some point, it will, with age, it will have its issues. And then that question of refuge, it's really important because we can get out, right? So, you know, we may still choose disembodiment. We may still choose, oh, what's the term? Dissociation, like to get away from one experience. But more we practice, we begin to literally prefer the clarity and the honesty of like, well, that's how it is. And so that dukkha associated with, I shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. Why is it like this? What have I done wrong? Oh, they did it wrong. Like, who should I blame? This is how it is right now. And I can choose to respond in the way, right? Because there are limits to our wisdom. The wisdom grows through trying things, cause and effect, cause and effect. We learn through trying things out. Oops, this doesn't work. Oops, oh, this was a refuge. This was a way to find a solace, protection. So when I ask that question, what we are seeking refuge from, so the general term is we seek protection from greed, hatred, and delusion. Just let that sink for a moment. And this is all of us, whether we practice or not. We seek refuge from all the forms of greed, hatred, and delusion. As Dharma practitioners, we have this, I don't even know how to say it, beautiful practice that has a response to all forms of suffering, whether they arise from the root of hatred, greed, delusion. I mean, the gratitude, as I'm saying this practice has responses to all forms of dukkha. So what eventually happens as we practice, have you noticed that you tend to seek refuge in what is referred to, I like that term, true refuge, instead of false refuge? That's an interesting term. But false refuge means a refuge that's not dependable and it's not reliable, because it's let's just name few: entertainment, all the forms of substances like food, drugs. We seek refuge also in other people. And that I'll talk about it, because some people can provide that refuge and some people can't. So we learn like, oh, this person is my spiritual friend, where when I turn towards them, their response to what I'm saying, what I'm asking will be wise, will be skillful, will be encouraging. Talking about seeking refuge in people that cannot provide it. And not that they don't want to, they are not capable of it. They simply can't do it. It's beyond their abilities or even interest, right? And we can go there and get hurt over and over again, right? We take our needs to people that cannot possibly fulfill them. Back to false refuges. We also have particular patterns that we turn to when faced with difficult, uncomfortable, challenging, painful circumstances, internal, external, both. So it can be worry, fear, right? Worry was my favorite one. I believe that if I worry and process in worry, that somehow that will protect me from getting hurt or from making mistake, which means then I will get hurt. It took a long time of, I'm going to use the term examining, but it's really the investigating worry that became clear. That's not a true refuge. Because worry is a state that its nature is to worry. It can never process clearly. Worry will always process as worry. It's because its nature is to worry. We can seek refuge in disconnecting, dissociating. There are so many forms, right? And the translation we have is that it's referred to as false refuge, something that's not dependable, not reliable. So we have this term, disillusionment and disenchantment, but pretty much it feels like disappointment, where you go to your favorite refuge. Let's say it's you are really upset about something and you have a favorite TV show or a program. I don't know. It can be Saturday Night Live or Daily Show, whatever. right? So here you are, you can feel the agitation, you can feel the reactivity. You go, I'm gonna watch this. And this can be conscious or unconscious, semi-conscious. And there you are watching it and it's not doing it. Have you had those moments? Then you go like, and literally because it's not doing it, your attention is not engaged, so you get bored. And you go like, what happened to the show? Why am I no longer interested in it? Right? I'm just giving you my own words. It may, look different, but what's going on, right? And then you just turn inward. What is going on? Oh, it's not addressing this discomfort, this agitation, this form of dukkha, this pain. And the mind goes, well, it used to. So you can search for another show. You can ask someone, is there something you like, someone whose opinion you even value? And I'm talking to you, I love K and Chinese dramas. Like if that's a refuge, I for some reason I'm not into American TV. I like some European, but there is something that I find right now very creative and different. So there you are. You go like, what do you watch? Because you are bored. It's not doing it. And at some point, you simply won't even choose it. You choose to be with this, whatever it is. And then as you are with it and as the hurt is felt, oh, kindness, compassion arises. And that is the refuge. Right? So these things that seem external when we learn, oh, because I do chant the refuges every morning. It's a really good reminder, right? And yes, I do take refuge in external refuges too. Love the Dhamma teachings. I find them so nourishing. I love to read suttas. Yeah. I love to be part of the Sangha, right? I've told you many times when we have discussion how nourishing this is for me, right? But then there is also internal refuge. It's like the Dhamma is in the mind and heart. It's there, right? So you are about to choose something. So there you are feeling the discomfort or boredom. And when Dhamma is in the mind, right? The choice can be, oh, is this skillful? Is this onward leading? Is this beneficial to me and others? Oh, right? So we do chant and we do these external refuges so we can eventually find them also inside and we carry them. It's like the Dhamma becomes your best friend, your companion. I really mean this. I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about. You may just have a different word for it. And the reason why I also chose that first poem, right? Because when the first refuge becomes internal, right? So it's the Buddha, it's the teacher, it's the awakened one. But eventually we really start trusting our own knowing, our own direct experience, not the views and opinions, not the patterns, not the conditioning, but here now. We begin to trust our own knowing, recognizing the direct experience. Oh, it's that. Okay. Our own clarity of mind, stillness. And that becomes, I'm going to use the term strength because I don't have for it better term for it, but it will feel strong. And when there is that sense of strength, it feels different when we meet the world. Let's just say that's on fire, right? Three fires: greed, hatred, and delusion. Because there is this strength, and there are many qualities that give rise to that sense of feeling strong, solid, stable. Refugees are a big part of it. I can be with this, I can meet this, I can let this in. And then there also will be this knowing when you feel that stability is gone to some degree. This sense of feeling nourished is gone, and you go, okay, I have to go and take a refuge, internal or external here, Sangha, and you'll know that that will take care of the world. So we, in a way, sometimes need to turn away, take a refuge, so we build up again that strength, that stability. So sometimes for me, it's knowing. So I do sit in the morning. So I usually sit, I have a breakfast, and then I have like an admin, right? Responding to email. But when I feel still wobbly, and I'm very somatic person, so I can feel this unsettledness, you know, the image of a snow globe I given. I know emails can wait. They can wait 2 hours, 3 hours. So that refuge in that moment is silence and slowing down, like really being aware of what I'm doing. So it becomes a moment-to-moment practice, and I'm aware of time. This is the last thing I'll say before I close. So taking refuge is an intention. Yes, we can do it in the morning. We can even do a ceremony, but it's moment by moment. What's reliable? And also the question is, sometimes I like that, what is worthy of my attention? And if you don't like that word, I used to have problem with that word. Now it's fine. It's not triggering. It makes total sense. Right? So what, if you don't like that, maybe what's true refuge? And so if we make this a conscious practice and we seek a refuge in something that doesn't do it, that's when we go, oop, we are learning, and we can turn the rudder. Oh, let's try something else. Let's try something else. So I'm aware of our time, so I'll end here. I want to thank you for being here, for your presence, for choosing to do this instead of all the other things you could be doing on Sunday morning or whatever time of the day it is for you. We really, really appreciate you being here. And I'm going to turn the recording off now. But please